Okay, guys, let's rock and roll. So there'll probably be a couple people coming in, although I'm very impressed. I think almost, if not everybody, is here, which is amazing. I started off with, I guess, about 2 minutes of just kind of some fun stuff I wanted to share with you as people kind of get settled in, even though it looks like we are settled in. So one of the things that we have with our team is a lot of fun. And there's, I could probably talk to 3 hours on just how much fun we have, but we don't, we're not going to focus on that completely. But I want to kind of start off with just some of the fun I've had over the years, with just some of the text messages that have gone on between me and my teammate and my clients. So the first one is this was a text from a client to a 29-year-old agent on my team, okay? The text said, okay, simply read, "Can you please facsimile it to me?" That was the text. So her text to me was, "What is a facsimile?" Okay. Now this is all true. Okay. And so I texted her back and asked her to call me, and I'll explain what a facsimile is. Okay. So she actually called me, and I told her. She said, "What is a facsimile?" And I said, "Well, I don't know if there's anything that's a facsimile, but there is a facsimile, and that is a fax. You know what that is?" He goes, "Of course I know what a fax is. Why'd they ask me for a facsimile?" So that was an agent on my team. So that was kind of fun. Another one, and by the way, these agents might be in the room right now, so I'm not going to say they are, but they might be. This second one, this was a text from a client to a female agent on my team, and the text from the client read, "Got here at my new house." They just closed this. "Got here at my new house, and there's a sawhorse." Okay, so my agent texted back, okay, "Should I call animal control?" So I thought that was good. The agent texted back, or the client texted back, "Does animal control pick up wooden horses?" Okay. So my agent had no idea what a sawhorse was. The termite company had finished the repairs that day and forgotten to remove the sawhorse. Okay. So now she knows what a sawhorse is. Okay. So anyway, the last one is my absolute favorite. This is a classic. I think it's classical. So the last example, the female agent on my team sent the following text. "Can I stop by for a quick sec? I have something for you." Okay. However, the text was spell corrected to, "Can I stop by for quick sex? I have something for you." Okay. True story, by the way. True story. I think I got it verbatim right. I didn't check with her, but I still remember it so well. So here we go. So when my agent got to the client's home, the husband and wife had a glass of wine waiting for her and said, "You're going to need this." Okay. They explained that the auto-corrected text, to this day, I think she's still embarrassed. She's pretty red right now. So anyway, kind of fun things that we start with. Anyway.
What we won't do for wine.
I know, what we won't do for wine. That's a great point. Hey, so before we start today, just a quick couple announcements to kind of get out of the way and kind of, first of all, I want to welcome Cheryl Lynn from our office up at Aviara. She's one of our shareholders up there. We just happened to talk yesterday, and I mentioned I'm doing this today. She goes, "Hey, can I come up?" And I said, "Sure, we're going to video it." She goes, "No, I want to come up." So Cheryl Lynn is great. She's one of our, she's been with Aviara as a shareholder for many, many years, does a lot of business. She's been our chairman of the board. She's amazing, does a lot for recruiting up there. And by the way, she's been a great referral source for our team, and she's been a great receiver of referrals. So if you have somebody in the Newberry Park, Westlake Village, Thousand Oaks, Ventura, she's the gal. She'll do a great job. Okay, so there you go, little plug. And then the next person I have, this is live from New York. My son Casey is here. Okay, so I just found out last night that he's coming. That's really a great treat for me and Angie. He spends most of his time in New York, occasionally in Africa, where he lives there part of the year too. And then he comes home 3 or 4 times a year, and that's always a big treat for us. And by the way, I'm never nervous to talk in front of Regency. I'm a little nervous talking in front of Casey, and actually Corey too a little bit. Because I know afterwards they're going to razz me on whatever mess up I do is going to be what our lunch is all about. So anyway, we have fun as a family. So, okay, first of all, you're going to notice that my PowerPoint today is branded to Aviara. Okay, that's the company that Angie and I franchised about 15 years ago up north. That's because they pay me to talk, and we're going to be doing a seminar for them as a recruiting event in September up there at the Westlake Village. And so so they pay me, they get the branding, but it applies, this whole thing will apply to Regency or Aviara or whatever. So just to give you an idea. So today is going to be like drinking from a fire hose. I'm going to throw so much at you, and so is Corey, that you're going to be, kind of like, oh my gosh, where'd that come from, and what'd they say, and what happened? Okay. However, you don't need to take notes. And the reason is because I have put together for everything I'm talking about, and we can add also Corey's on there too, everything's going to be in SharePoint under the shareholder area. So if you go shareholder library, marketing, how to build a dynamic team, everything will be in there. Most everything is in there now. The only thing I can't get in there yet was the actual PowerPoint presentation with all the notes. I'm not saying anything today that isn't in a note that I have right here. So you literally could go back today and look at the PowerPoint presentation and the notes and get everything we have. I've tried to download that. They said it's too big a file. I've been working with Merdad and Frank to get that on there. We'll get that on there. I'm not sure how we'll do it, but we'll eventually get that on there. Okay, so you don't worry about that. Just write any questions down you have during the talk you might have. We'll have a period after that for questions and answers. And you'll also find out that your question that you might have, might come up in the next slide. Okay, that's a lot of times how it's answered. But do write them down. I want to cover everything we have. We have plenty of time for that today. And I understand there's like a lot of ways to build a successful team. I'm not going to be dogmatic that this is the only way to build a team. I actually talk about different types of teams as well, but I'm going to focus on the way we built our team because that's what I know. So for 30 plus years of our business, Angie and I were real estate agents. We sold real estate, and we kind of got to where we knew how to do that. We were selling 100 homes a year. We had 4 full-time assistants, Angie and myself. But when we started the team thing, we were just going to retire back in 2004 and do ministry for the rest of our life, and then do ministry and love on our grandkids that we're not there yet. And that was going to be our plan. But then as the team started to come together, a few people, it got to be kind of interesting. And then finally in 2010, we said, if we're going to do this, let's do it right. And that's when we got together and really kind of started to get a plan. I had really no knowledge of how to run a team back then. And so, the last 10, 11 years have been trying to gain some knowledge on how to put a team together. A lot of it was by watching others. Some of it would be by, a trial and error. But we'll share what it is today that we've done, and you'll see there's still a lot of room for improvement as well. So afterwards, I'm going to go for about an hour and I think 15 minutes or so. Then we're going to have an amazing lunch, box lunch come here, and then we'll grab our lunches, maybe ask any questions you have, and then our keynote speaker, Corey, will come up afterwards, and I think he's going to talk for about an hour today, and you will love what he has. I've seen his notes. He's a much better speaker than I am. That's why he's going second, not first. I'm the warm-up, okay? So I totally understand that. By the way, I really, because it is a little bit longer, if you guys need to get up and stretch or go out or take a phone call, I used to always start my talks by saying, please turn your phones to silent and turn them off. But then the last seminar that Casey actually did here was how to deal with millennials. And he started off his talk by saying, I want everyone to get their phones out. Now I want you to turn them on, and I want you to start texting and stuff so that I feel at home, okay? So whatever you want to do, I don't care. If your phone rings, that's okay. This is going to be, we can edit the rings out of the video, so don't worry about that. If you need to get up and use the restroom or take a break, go for it, okay? So that's where we're at. Okay, also, this is a great time for social media pics. If you guys want to take some social media pics, take some pictures back there. If you want to come up here and take some pictures, it's not going to distract me for you to do that. Put this on your social media that this is what you're doing with your company. By the way, it's great to be back after a year and 4 months in front of our group. I mean, to see the people that we used to get together with, and we all look about 6 months older, even though it's been 2 years. We've aged well. But no, it's just great to be back, and there's a certain energy that was in me just to look at everybody here. So, okay, let's get started, because we do have some things to cover. So, This quote is what I consider the best description of what a team should do for a team member. Remember, you need to build your team for the team itself. And the quote is, find a group of people who challenge and inspire you and spend a lot of time with them, and it will change your life forever. And that's what a team does. Get the right people on the team and the right concept, and it will change your life forever. Our team is our family. We just got back from spending time in Palm Desert with 12 of them that had met one of our contest parameters last year. All the things that we do, I can tell you it's an extended family, and you're going to find that out. It really does. This quote could not be more true. Now, let's look under the hood of kind of how to build that legendary team. Okay, I'm going to use a pyramid today. You guys remember John Wooden? He used to use a pyramid of success. Okay, so I stole this from him. I'm going to take credit for it the next time I talk and just say it's my pyramid, but it was really kind of came from something he did, and I like what he did. And so I'm using a pyramid that's going to have, basically our 6 major steps to build that legendary team. It's like building a house. You start with the foundation, and our first foundational block is going to be team structure. Okay, that's where we start it all, is with team structure. And this one is where many of our big decisions are made, and a lot of what we put together, and this is probably the most detailed block that we have as well. And it starts with, all teams start with culture. Anyone who talks on teams these days, I've watched a lot of webinars, seminars, I've read a lot on them, as we all have. Every single time they start with culture, and that's true, and that's the way you really should. I'm not saying we started our team with culture. We kind of started our team with whoever wanted to join it and who I liked. And then later, when we started to really build the team, then we sat down with some of the original team members and talked about what our culture is going to be. So it begins with culture, and that's the single most important thing. By the most basic definition, team culture is made up of values, beliefs, and behaviors shared by your team. Okay, that's what, if you look it up and Google it or in the dictionary, that's what it says. And you've probably heard phrases such as a culture of personal growth, or maybe a culture of crime and corruption, or maybe a culture of peace and prosperity. We've heard that before. Those are all cultures. And we also want to create a culture within the team. Ours was pretty simple. Ours was a culture of personal growth, sharing, and having a blast. Okay, that was ours. And it's kind of simple, and I'm sure probably nobody else shares that exact same culture. It wasn't meant to be what anybody else had. It was just meant to be what we wanted to have as culture. It's not a bunch of fluffy ideas, guys, that you just throw out there. It's really a science. It may sound like fluffy ideas, but it truly is a science. And once you get the science right, it may not look like science, but it truly is, under the hood, it is a science. Once you've defined what your team culture is, then you only hire agents. They're going to fall within that team culture. And that's the hardest thing to do, especially when we start. We start with nobody on our team, or maybe 1 or 2, and as we grow, and we don't want to say no to anybody. But you need to make sure that you hire to your team culture. We've done a great job. I really feel like every single agent that we've said yes to on our team, that they came on our team, they met our team culture. Everybody did. So, maybe that's a little bit of luck, and maybe it's a little bit of doing the right things in that procedure that we'll talk about later to hire. Your culture is not meant to fit everybody. If it does, then you just have a big open source that anything can happen, and you're like a ship without a rudder. You have no idea where you're going. So you need to have a very specific culture that you hire to. So next, I just want to talk about kind of a sizzle video. And this will give me a 3-minute break here. This is going to kind of introduce our team. I strongly recommend that everybody puts a team video together. I'm going to kind of play ours for a couple minutes here, and then I'll come back and talk about how we use it. And kind of the best way to tell you what our team is like is to show you this video. So the rest of our talk, you'll be able to say that, hey, that's where you can see where our team does this and does that and what it's like. So here we go. I'm Ed Wright, and this is my incredible wife, Angie. And in 1994, we invited 7 well-respected agents into our home to present a business plan for a new, innovative real estate brokerage. 3 months later, we founded Regency Real Estate Brokers. Regency brought together 33 top-producing brokers in equal ownership with a spirit of collaboration, transparency, and equality that had never been seen before. Regency quickly attained the distinction of being the #1 selling office in all of Orange County, an honor that we continue to hold to this day.
Ed and I have been blessed with a successful real estate sales career for over 30 years. Several years ago, we decided that instead of retiring, we would hand select an elite group of exceptionally talented agents and focus on mentoring the next generation of top-performing agents. We have been in awe at how masterfully this group has worked together to bring forth outstanding service and results. We love our team.
When you walk into our office, you'll instantly notice we have a built-in culture that is energizing, encouraging, cooperative, and challenging. Each agent is inspired to master all aspects of the business so they can produce ultimate results for their clients. We pride ourselves on being available to our team even after hours to help problem solve and strategize challenging situations.
While each agent develops his or her own clientele, as trendsetters in the industry, the group gathers to collaborate on how to create the most exceptional client experience from start to finish on every transaction. When a client hires a member of our team, they will actually receive the value of the entire team of experts brainstorming on the best practices for things such as educating and empowering buyers and sellers, expertly staging properties, producing state-of-the-art marketing materials, professionally creating sophisticated home photography and videos, using smart technology, and negotiating the most favorable results for their clients. Collaboration like this is unique in the real estate world, and it takes a special bond to make it work. It works here because, at its core, our team is family. We don't just work together, we share our lives with each other, and we have fun.
Our greatest satisfaction comes from seeing happy clients and having a front row seat to our agents' success in their career. So guys, a sizzle video I think is something you can all put together. A lot of the people on our team have put their own personal sizzle video together. It's really good for, although we haven't used it this way too much, but we've done it to, you can use it for recruiting agents. That's the number one thing you can do. And we haven't used it to go out there and done social media with it really too much. But when we have an agent we're meeting with that we think we're gonna like, then we'll send them that video out before we meet just to give them an idea. Or if we met them and we weren't sure if we're gonna make kind of a job offer to them, then position offer, then we'll wait until afterwards and send it out to them. But I think it's really good. Also, our agents can use it to send out to their clients if they don't have their own sizzle video, although most of them by now have done that. So you can do this for very little. We spent $4,000. We spent more, wanted a little bit more out of it. You could probably spend even more than that if you wanted to. But the whole idea of it, if you ask me, do I think we've got $4,000 of bang for our buck? Like 10 times over, absolutely. Imagine if you got one agent, okay, you know, for 6 months, they're gonna make you more than that in the first 6 months. So I really think it's something you should put together. And the way you put them together is you take a lot of team videos and look at all of them, and then you take the best pieces of each one and then make your own. So, okay, so the next thing I want to talk about is kind of the office space, because you need to kind of put an office space together that's going to, you know, be part of that team structure. Your office space is designed with purpose to promote your team's culture, so that's what you should do. Our office used to be a bunch of, you know, desks in there and everybody could sit at a desk. When our culture changed, our office had to change. Now, the way that I kind of came upon our office space was that Angie and I were down at Casey and Corey's business probably 10 years ago now, maybe 11 years ago, and they had a community table with all their employees sat at one place, okay, and they had other workstations in the office and offices, but they all worked together right there. Put their computers up there, they'd work, they'd have coffee there and talk, and sometimes they'd just be quiet or have headphones in, whatever. And we went down there one day to kind of hang out with them. I think we were going to a ball game that night or something, but we went down to work for a few hours in the office. And I looked at that and I go, wow, this is really great. Okay, this is like kind of Google-esque, you know, Google started doing that and probably Facebook and things like that, but it was really, I would have thought I would not have liked it. And so I came back to our team, and at that time our team was like Doug and Aaron and Ines and Angie and Steve, and I said, what do you think of this concept? And they kind of looked at me and goes, I think we just want our office, leave us alone, you know. I'm saying, okay, will you do me a favor and at least do a trial run on this? And they said, what do you mean? I said, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll go out to Santa Margarita one day. Give me 3 hours of your time. I'll take you out to lunch afterwards. We're going to go to the Starbucks out there that has a community table that'll fit about 10 or 12 people. We're going to sit at that table for 3 hours, and then afterwards we'll go out to lunch and see if it's a thumbs up or thumbs down. Okay, so I think they all kind of went out there kind of cynic, like, okay, we'll do this just to please Ed, kind of thing. And by the time we were done, we went to lunch right after that, and everybody was thumbs up. Said, this is magical. I've learned more today than I've learned, in the last year about just how we collaborate together and things like that. So that's what we decided to do, put together a community table. And by the way, we have those here at Regency. You don't need to have your own office, although you can do that. I think it's great we have, but they're here. Okay, they're here. So if you look at the modern office today, I think the modern real estate office is going to be a Starbucks with a color copier. That's what it's going to be like. And you're going to start to see that more and more as time goes on, and we're going to get rid of all the cubby holes. Now, we'll have some private offices, to meet with a client or escape to for a private phone call, but most of the space is going to be dedicated to community space. That's what I believe, and it's worked really well for us. So here's kind of what we did. Just like residential houses, designs has changed, so has the real estate office, obviously. So what we tried to do is we brought snacks in there, we brought cold drinks in there, we have a television monitor, the same monitor in our office, you can see it back there, and we have that on the real estate channel all the time on volume 8. And you guys say, well, remember, it's a science, okay? We just don't throw things on. Everything we do has a purpose to it. The reason why we had music today in here had a purpose, not, oh, let's throw in some music. The purpose was to kind of get some energy going in the room. This is what we do. We keep that to about level 8, exactly level 8, so that there's ambient noise in there. So we don't want to create a library atmosphere. If what we have in here right now is a work atmosphere and somebody started making noise, it interrupts everybody. But if there's ambient noise in there, then nobody cares. You can take a phone call, the TV's on 8. We create noise just like Starbucks has noise. By the way, the number one place that people work in America, maybe the world, Starbucks. Starbucks has more people every day working there than any other place. And guess what? Everyone that goes to Starbucks chose to go there. The office, you don't get a choice. They choose to go to Starbucks. So Starbucks works. Okay, so that's kind of what we were. We tried to put, everyone has a picture of all of our team up there. We have cubby boxes so everyone can bring their personal things in there. We have 2 whiteboards. One whiteboard is simply the quote of the week, okay, that we put up there, and we'll put one up. If somebody else in the team has one, they'll erase it, they'll put it up. And it just kind of changes every week or two depending on quotes that we have. Angie's pretty good about making sure it doesn't go too long without one. And then we have another whiteboard. This is the bigger one, which is more like this whiteboard. And it just has all of our training that we have, each and every month, and events that we have. So that's kind of the, what it's all about. We also have a second, private office that we use for the clients or private phone calls and things like that. And of course, we have a lot of those within Regency. So that gives you an idea why workspace, I think, is really important, and it's part of the science. Now I want to talk about different types of teams. Okay, and here's where we get really, look under the hood at what a team is really like. Most teams fall into one of 2 categories. Okay, one of 2 categories. They're either team-centric or they're agent-centric. Okay, now first of all, let's talk about team-centric, because team-centric is what most teams have. So a team-centric is kind of the best description I have is like a honeybee hierarchy. Okay, many bees working together for the queen bee or the king bee in this case. So there might be one prominent agent, okay, and that agent is the prominent agent, and everybody else is working for that agent. Okay, now when you look at that, they promote that agent. Even when they take a listing, they'll probably co-list it with that agent. So it's like that honeybee hierarchy, most common team there is out there. They oftentimes don't own their book of business, because when they come on together, a lot of times they'll get referrals, or maybe they'll offer referrals through them. They have a referral source that they'll offer some referrals to the agents. They generally will need to generate leads for their team. Okay, and if that team member decides to leave, then a lot of times they've signed a non-compete clause that they can't even take their business with them. However, this can be a very effective team, and it's the most common team out there. How can you knock this team? It works time and time again. That's not what our team is, but it is a working model that works very, very well. Now, I always say that the only way you're ever going to get an agent to come on your team is you have a value proposition that's better than everybody else. Okay, that's very, very important. So, with a team like this, with that, team centric, then it's the power of a team is obviously there. Lead generation isn't as important. So you take agents that don't have a lot of confidence, then this will be a great model for them. Maybe they can gain their confidence through time, but if they're not great at doing their own prospecting, some is done for you, okay? And they usually set you up with a little bit of social advertising or social media and things like that. And then you get to learn from that seasoned agent who's on that team who knows how to sell real estate, in most cases, at a really high level. So that's the number one team. It's called team-centric. The number two type of team would be agent-centric. Completely, diametrically opposed as far as the model, okay? Both can be effective teams. Now, in this model, this is our model, it's all focused upon the agent who comes on their team. Each agent is clearly in business for themselves. And everything we train and teach is for them to be in business for themselves. And if they ever want to leave the team, guess what? They just go somewhere else and work. They've got their own business. That's how we train. Now, you can probably say at times, well, wait, it's kind of like you're almost training them to be able to leave. Well, no, I'm not doing that. If they want to leave, if the team culture isn't right, then it's time for them to leave and move on. However, the whole point of this is that that's our theory. That's what we want them to do. Now, I've looked at this, and when we developed our team, I kind of thought, if I were sitting on the other side of the desk, which team would I be more interested in? And to me, I'd have been more interested in this type of team. By the way, probably everybody here would say the same thing because you're all at high levels in your real estate career. You probably wouldn't have wanted to work for somebody else at a much lower commission rate to have a lead here and there, and you'd rather generate your own. So while you guys may agree that this is best for everybody here, you might agree that you don't want to start this kind of team for yourself. You want to have team-centric as opposed to agent-centric. So still you have the power of a team, okay, and these are the kind of value propositions for the agent. You have training, and you wouldn't have it in the other one, but you have a lot of training here because you got to train these people and equip them to do it on their own, okay? Your income potential is generally much better. The commissions are usually much better, okay? And if the agent leaves, they take their clients with them. You certainly don't sign a non-compete clause. We don't, and I don't think it would really be consistent with this type of model. So now let's talk a little bit about team names because they kind of take form differently with each one of these teams. If you're an agent-centric, you should let your clients self-brand, okay? All of our people on our team get to self-brand. Within the rules of DRE and Regency's policies and things like that, they can self-brand. Now, I think the best branding is your name, but they can have, if they want to have a different team name and things like that, most of them do, they can do that. Our right team is only an internal name. We don't use that. I tell the people on the team, don't use that for anything other than that's an internal team reference. When I say a right team meeting, that's the meeting of our team. But outside of that, nobody else hears the right team. Okay, just people within our team. Okay, a few pointers. If your agent-centric team and each member can pick their own team's name, make sure that name does meet the DRE standards. Make sure that it's a name that's in their best interest. The first thing when somebody comes on our team, I want them to get their own domain, okay, and get the domain before you start making sure it's available before you get the team name. If they decide to incorporate, then do that. Many people on our team have incorporated. Many people have broker's license because I really challenge them to do that. Many of them have extra designations such as GRI and things like that. All of those things add to who you are as an agent and to what you offer a client across the table. And so I've always recommended they do these things. Not at once, but they take steps to get to here. So gives you an idea of how the name takes place. Obviously, if you're on an agent or a team-centric, your name's going to be the name of the main agent there, okay? And then your card's just going to be your name, but you'll be, on Team Moran or whatever it's going to be, so to speak. So, okay, let's talk about the second foundational block, and that's recruiting. Now, long-term profits are generated when you can recruit agents and retain. Now, remember I said not just recruit and retain. If you recruit and they're gone in a year, that's really not worth it. Your value comes in when they stay there year after year after year. And I can tell you that recruiting is not super difficult. Retention is more difficult by far. So that's why we're going to talk a lot on that a little bit later. So this is best described in A book called Built to Last. Maybe you guys have read it before, Jim Collins. Really great book. I strongly recommend you read it. And I also recommend you read Good to Great, which is one you've probably heard of. That's like a bestseller for years and years. When Corey used to teach at the MBA program down at Point Loma College, an adjunct professor down there, he made that a must read for his entire class, which is usually 5 people, by the way. So, so now that's not a bad thing. When you're in your MBA class, you don't have these big classes like that. You usually have small classes and stuff. So, so again, retention is a key, and we need to spend a lot of time on that. But you obviously need to get recruiting before you can retain. So let's talk about recruiting. Okay, the best recruiting is what? It's the people on your team. Make them happy. What's the best thing if you're in business? What's your best way to get more business? Is for your happy clients to tell everyone about you, right? It's the same thing when you put together a team. If you put together a team that everybody likes, then guess what? Your team members come from them. Everybody in here that is on our team today that has, they've all brought team members to us. So, a couple of them, comes by way of my contacts, but more of them come by ways of the team itself. So most team leaders will tell me they prefer experienced agents. Of course we would. They walk right in, they don't require any training, and you just sign them up, and they run on their own, and you just collect a check. Okay, I can tell you that is a model that's really good, but that's a very competitive model. Everybody wants those agents, and you're not going to get them with profit margins in them that's going to be anywhere near as good as the other ones. And you know what? You don't have a front row seat to their success. And I got to tell you, one of the greatest things about a team is have a front row seat to see somebody come on your team, and and have a front row seat to see them become successful. In this case, I mean to see Ines and Doug and Aaron and Steve and the Whitakers, to see their success and have a front row seat for that is great. That's what's great. And so with experienced agent, we have a couple experienced agents that came over, but in most cases they were in their first year or two and they didn't really get off the ground somewhere else, and they came over and they're in most cases able to get traction on our team. So again, not everyone on your team is going to be an MVP. It's like a baseball team. Not everyone bats third or fourth. You need to lead off. You need, bullpen pitchers. So not everybody is going to be a superstar. But that's the great thing about a team. Everybody brings something different, but they all don't have to be super agents. So building a team is just like building your real estate business. In the beginning, every client requires a big effort, but as your sphere of influence grows, then that opportunity will expand greatly. I can tell you, kind of said this before, the hardest agent to get is the first, second, and third one. The easiest ones are the 28th, 29th, and 30th, or however big you want to go. Those are the easiest ones to get. But remember, focus on getting those team members that meet your culture, okay? So let's talk about an agent interview, because this is where it kind of all starts. So I have 7 interview questions that I have with every interviewee. And these are questions, and the reason you have these set questions, and any good interviewer will know that you want to ask set questions because there are certain things you want to get out. You can sit and think all day long what's really important to know about that, and then just make your questions to support those. So first of all, I ask every potential member the same exact 7 questions. Okay, I need my glasses to read these. Why do you want to be a real estate agent? Now this is for new agents only. I want to ask them because this answer is so revealing. They might say, oh, my husband says that I just need to make enough to pay for my kids' college, which is $40,000 a year. Okay, and I said, well, that's okay for the first year. He goes, oh no, we have kids coming up for several years. So as long as I make $40,000 every year, this was actually an answer. And at the end of this interview, I told the person that we're not the right team. If your goal is $40,000 maximum every year, we're not the right team. Okay, we don't train for that. We train for more. Okay, so first question. Second question is, I think I got 2 and 3 up here. Do you plan on working full-time or part-time? And if they say part-time, again, we're not the right team, okay? If they say full-time, I ask them, what does full-time mean to you? Because, full-time, everyone says yes. On our application that goes out to everybody for a new team member says, are you going to be full-time? They check the box. Well, I'm not letting them just check the box. I want to know what full-time means to you. You're starting a business. You need to be the first person there, the last person there. You're going to be under, it's going to be hard for a few years until you get traction. Okay, so what are you willing to do, and what does full-time mean to you? Third question is, have you ever owned your own business? They talk about the 4 reasons that people fail. This came out a few years ago. think I can remember what they were. One was because people do not know how to run their own business, okay? Another is because they didn't have enough money in the bank to support their bills until they made a living. You'll see one of my next question pertains to that. Another one is they spend too much time on marketing and not enough time on prospecting. And the fourth one was they don't have a coach in the business or any real support to get them through it. So I still remember those from a few years ago from an Inman article that I thought was really good. And so, again, these questions are kind of designed to get to the bottom of some of these things. So what are your real estate goals? I want to know what their goals are, you know. And I really want to know more than just dollar goals about everything else, you know. There's an old saying that there has to be a why. If you're going to go in real estate, there has to be a why. And sometimes when somebody says, you know, I'm tired of, you know, living the life that I have, I want to have a nice lifestyle and I'm willing to work for it, then that's probably a good answer. But again, if they say, you know, I don't know, it's just kind of like, you know, just to be out there for my friends call me, that's not a good answer. So these answers will reveal if you want this person or not. Next question is, what will be your primary lead generation? Now, they probably don't know at this point, but if they want to start talking about their primary lead generation is going to be, you know, I have a lot of friends and things like that, I'm going to say, well, how will you develop that business? Okay, because friends don't call you because you're in real estate. Friends will call you because they think you're good at real estate, okay? And by the way, you know, when you get a referral from somebody, and just think of yourself this way, when you get a referral, it's not because they like you, it's because they thought you did a good job and you represent to the person they're referring a good word for you. So when I refer somebody, it's because I think they do a good job, not because I like them. Okay, we can like people all we want. We refer people that do good jobs because it's a reflection on us, right? So that's why it's important. So how soon do you need to start generating income? I want to know what their bank account is and can they make it through this? You know, a lot of times, you know, when I started, I was still driving a school bus, okay, and selling mobile homes on the side. I had 2 other jobs, but I was committed to real estate, working full time, okay? And so again, I was able, but I didn't have a lot of money in the bank. Angie had a job. She wasn't making very much, but we could kind of get through and get, you know, buy in the little condo that we owned at the time. But again, they have to have a plan for that. And then the last question is, what are you looking for in a broker? You know, you need to know this. I want to know what they're looking for in a broker because it might be something totally unreasonable, okay? Or in most cases it's not, but I want to know. By the way, same question we should always ask every client we ever work with. What are you looking for in a broker? If you know that the training I do on the listing presentation, before we even start the main part of the presentation, what are you looking for in a broker? So that your presentation, you'll make sure you cover every single thing they said in that presentation. Most important question you ask. It's the most important thing that'll be said at an interview with people too. So, so there you go. By the way, I have another really good read for you. It's called Ninja Selling. This is a really good book to read, and I'm going to talk about what I think is the main point from it, but it's still a good book to read. And it's, oh, you know what I wanted to explain also is on the 7 questions there before I move on. One of the advantages that we have at Regency over every other company, no, not some of the companies, every other company, okay, is very simply this. You can offer them more potential than any other company. Because when I meet with them, guess what I'm going to start talking about? I'm going to start talking about when you come to our team, you can come on our team and be a team member, which develops your own business, as long as you're here, and that may be where your career goes to, and that's all you want. Or you may want to, at some point, be a shareholder associate, to where you can actually, you do a really good volume, and you want to go to the next level. You can be a shareholder associate, where you share in the profits. I share my profits with them. You could actually be on the board of directors, like people that our associates have been before. You're in the company working, and you help make company decisions. Okay. You can also be in our leadership team, which I'm going to talk about later, just within our Right Team leadership team. And then you can also grow above and beyond this, and this is something that no one offers nowhere. You can be in ownership of this company. You can be in Inez who comes on a team with really having not much background at all, coming from a totally different business and communications, develop this incredible business, become a shareholder, and someday probably have our own team that'll be incredibly successful too. And you own part of the office. Who offers that? Just tell me. Nobody. So when you're at this interview, if you have somebody you really want, and this person is a powerhouse player, this is the place to be. You know, we have a great story. Sometimes we don't tell the story very good at Regency, but we've got a great story. Tell it to the people coming in. Now, most of the people that come on your team will only go to step 1. A few will go to step 2, and the furthest one is going to be very few, but it's open for that person, and that person will gravitate to this model and your team model, because that's what it offers. So anyway, that gives a, hope I wasn't too impassioned on that, but it's just I really believe in that. So the next good read I have for you is The Ninja Selling. This is a book written by Larry Kendall, and let me tell you the story of Larry, and he actually had a little bit to do with Regency in a way. So Larry Kendall started a company called The Group in Fort Collins, Colorado, years ago, and that company was just was an agent-owned company, and I'd heard about them, and they grew to be fairly large, and they went through all Denver metro, and they ended up probably having 20 offices now, of which all the offices, all the people have ownership, a little bit like Regency, but pretty far different. Angie and I were doing a seminar in 1997, an 8-hour seminar for 800 agents in Denver, and the person who was putting that on connected us with Larry Kendall so that we could go and meet with Larry, and we spent a better part of a day with Larry Kendall talking about the concept. Now remember, Regency was 3 years old at that time. So we shared a little bit, but we got a lot more back from him and ideas and things like that. And one of the things he ended up writing was this book, you know, Ninja Agent, or Ninja Selling. And it's really a good book. I'm going to share what I think is the best part of this book with you. By the way, Larry is probably in his 80s now, retired probably 5-10 years ago, but really a great guy, and we got a lot of great ideas from him. So he puts agents into 4 categories, 4. And when I read this, I thought, man, he's so right. He's right on with this. So first of all, highly coachable and highly productive. Okay, everyone's favorite agent, right? Highly coachable, highly productive. All you have to do for this agent is to give them a general direction and be there when they need you. That's it. Now, we have a few agents on our team like that fall into that. Then we have the next one, which is highly productive but uncoachable. Okay, so this agent, they're highly productive and they're highly successful, but they don't want to be told what to do. You sail along with them, and you're there when they need you. Okay, don't overcoach somebody that, you know, if what they're doing is working and you think you could get 10% more out of them, don't destroy them by trying to do that, because guess what? They're uncoachable. They coach themselves and do a good job with it. This isn't a negative thing, being uncoachable at times. Then there's times that people need a lot of coaching. So the next one is unproductive but coachable. Okay, this is a common agent you'll have on your team. Now these agents are coachable but stuck in a rut. And here's what you do with them, and this has been really helpful, this idea, is that you set up meetings with them and you give them small goals in short increments to do. If you gave them a whole business plan of what to do and lay out, oh my gosh, it'd be like eating the whale. Where do I start, right? So what do you start? You start at one bite at a time. You meet maybe every week and you say, I have 2 things for you to do in the next week. Go do this. Remember, not productive, but highly coachable. And you only give them those couple of things to do. They'll come back and they'll do that. Then you have the last agent, which is unproductive and uncoachable. There's probably a perfect team for them. It's just not my team, okay? It's not my team. But here's, by the way, I want to kind of share something with you. You could have a team, and maybe you could be called team unproductive. Okay, that's okay. And that team has 20 agents on it, and they all sell 2 homes a year. And guess what? And they're on really low splits, right? Because they're unproductive and, you know, they don't get good splits. And so they sell 40 homes a year, and you get a good split on them. You could have a good team that made a good living. It'd be probably pulling your hair out, but, you know, you just kind of sit there and deal with that. So that's a model that can work, by the way. There are companies, I'm not going to mention any names, that kind of model their company after that. Okay, that's the truth of it. So it's just about getting the agents, lower splits. We don't care how many they sell, as long as we have a jillion agents, and that means a jillion deals, because a jillion agents is a deal a year. That's a jillion deals. Okay, so now let's get on to training, which is really part of that as well. I have an acronym I like to use. It's called LET. It has to do with love, encourage, and train. And that's what we need to do with our team. We need to love them, okay? You guys all have read the Love Languages book before. 5 love languages. There's 5 different love languages. And, you know, it might be acts of service or touch or special time or gifts or affirmation. I think those are the 5. So it's the same thing with your agents. Kind of find out how they want to be loved. You need to love them. I didn't raise Casey and Corey the same way. I think they both turned out pretty good, even though I didn't do that great a job. But I did something much different with Casey than Corey. They were built differently. I remember one time that Corey got in trouble, and so we made him eat dinner in his room by himself. Well, for Corey, that was the great punishment. That was awful, not being with people. But then Casey looked at me and said, Dad, can I do that too? I mean, that wasn't a punishment. And you need to learn how the people on your team, how they want to be loved, and love them differently. I treat them all differently. I mean, I can tell you there's somebody on our team who might be here today who says, when you meet with me, I want you to come hard on me, okay? Come hard on me, direct. Like, oh, really? Okay. Then I have other people that I know that I need to be really soft. I need to love them, okay? But my love needs to be, I need to be honest with them, but I need to be lovingly honest,
and
not brutally honest.
Kleenex.
Yeah, bring the Kleenex. So I remember the first time that we had, I wanted to meet with everybody in September before the next year. I mean, I think every single one of our meetings, we ended up in tears. I mean, every single one. So it wasn't a bad thing. There was a good thing. So, but anyway, so love, encourage, and train them, and understand you must treat every single person differently and find that out. It took me a while to find that out because I always kind of thought, here's the way I do it. If you don't like it, then go. Well, that's kind of like everyone leaves, because we're all different. It's kind of like if you're the same type of agent to every client, you appeal to a certain type of client. But if you have the versatility to treat a different client differently, for instance, if you have one that is a fun client, you have a lot of fun with them, that's great. If you have an engineer, they need a lot of information, you got to do that for them. If you have somebody who's serious, you're serious. I remember my first broker told me, he goes, if they talk like a trucker, you talk back to them like a trucker. Well, I don't do that. But the whole idea is kind of, you have to have that versatility as a team leader. It's really important. So next slide is kind of what your team needs to get better every day. There's the old saying, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. There's no such thing as staying the same because the world moves ahead, and you need to as well. We have a huge emphasis on training on our team. Our number one priority in training is when an agent comes on is three things: listing presentation, buyer consultation, and database. We just started 2 new agents on our team. They got 1 week to get back, watch the buyer presentation training I do, and come back and present to us. We've got a training next week with one of them. The other one will probably do it the next week. Why? Because when they get their first appointment, whether it's a buyer consultation or a listing presentation, I don't want them practicing on clients. I want them to be really good at it, and I want them to have given it to me, and it's going to be harder to give it to Angie and I than anybody else because we make it tough. So when they show up, they come back after the first night and they say, gee, that was really easy. All the training really worked. Don't let your agents practice on clients. Make sure they're trained before they go out, okay? So we also have 11 items that include what we call our agent essential training. By the way, all of this is in here for you guys to look at and get, okay? All the stuff that we have, contracts, all the things we're talking about today, they're in there. You can download them anytime you want. Now, another thing we have is about a year or two ago, I kind of decided that I really love this team, but there's something I don't love about it. And that is the individual training I must do, the repetitive training. Remember those 11 different trainings I got to do, either Angie or I have to do or we do together to each and every agent. And guess what? We get 3 new agents every year, 1 in January, 1 in May, and 1 in October. So what's that mean? 3 times I got to do 11 trainings that I really am so tired of doing, I don't even want to do it again. I like talking on things that I haven't talked on before. I can tell you, I could do a presentation once, maybe twice. After that, I'm kind of tired of it, okay? And so I didn't like doing that. So I was trying to find out how to do that, and Corey comes up with, why don't you just video everything and do it once really good, and then you've got it. So that's what we've done. We set up a thing called 805academy.com. We do all of our major trainings. I think we have 55 or 60 on there right now. Some of them are 3 to 5 minutes, some are an hour and 15 minutes on a lot of different subjects. We'll be adding another 50 in the next year. And I'll do them one time. I put a lot into them because I only have to do them once. And then when somebody comes on our team, I say, go watch the prospecting. Go watch the listing presentation, buyer consultation, and database. Okay, and then I want to come back and talk about it. Okay, and get ready for you to do that. And then again, this is so much. Well, guess what? This is here for you guys. This is the password for it. Okay, Sell More Homes 21. You can get in there and you have a team member, all the trainings that we're going to do. And by the way, we have other people. Karen did an amazing one on how to get referral leads. We had one, Bo Beersley, on there who does open houses. Angie's on there. Corey's on there. And we're going to bring many more people. If you want to do one on there, there's something you're really good at, you want to do, you want to have your agent, let me know. We video, we shoot it with 2 cameras like we did this. We send it out, we edit it, it comes back. It's actually pretty good. And it's on a YouTube channel, but it's now password protected. So only 3 people get it. My team, Regency, and Aviara. Everybody else is on the outside looking in, but we have that. And that's going to be an incredible resource. Can you imagine that all the training is available? Now, you should watch the training that's done on there, and if you don't like it, do your own, okay? And that might be the case in some cases. You go, yeah, I train that a little bit differently. That's okay. I'm not trying to train everyone one way. But I did it for my team the way we wanted to do it. But you can put it any way you want in there. So we post our trainings on whiteboards, and we have a team Facebook page. Our team Facebook page is amazing. When we go in there, we have Inessa in there. She's on there too, and I think Diana's on there. And we share listings, we share ideas, we share comedy stories. I mean, we share fun. We sell some things that we can share on social media. It's a great page. And for your team, have a Facebook page, just your team, your private page. And it's something that we use. It's kind of like our 4 o'clock message on steroids, okay? That's what it's kind of like. And I think it's really good. So we post our training on the whiteboard, and then we meet with every agent to start with. And some agents more than once, or more than when they're new, but later down the road too if they want it. But we meet because we want to go over what's known as their path to success. Path to success. Now, in all the years that I've been in real estate, it really took me a long time to figure out what is a successful agent. And I kept coming up with, well, that person, what do they all have in common? And it was really hard to do this. I finally think I got it. I think I have, unlocked the code. Maybe I'm wrong, but I think I'm right, okay? And you guys can test it if you want to. But it's these 4 things that create success. All the people in this room are successful. All of you have all 4 of these things to different degrees. None of us have them 100%. If we did, we'd be the perfect agent, and that doesn't exist. But we all have these, okay? And here's what they are. First of all, is skills. I can't read this, so small on my screen here, but skills. Skills are broken down into 2 different things. Personal skills, okay, and technical skills. The personal skills is something that somebody may have. It's even smaller on my computer. The personal skills, I know I'm going to get this later. So we'll edit this out in the real thing, but I can just see lunch coming. Okay, so personal skills is broken into 2 areas. Skills is in personal and then also in technical. Now the personal is what a person might bring, and they're already good at that. We had 2 new agents we hired this year. One is Joy and one is Jessica. They have amazing personal skills. They don't need to learn anything about that. They're great at connecting and stuff like that. Personal skills are off the charts. But guess what? Technical skills with new agents, they have 0 or near 0. If you tell them, you use the word amortization, they go, what? They don't even know what amortization is. I mean, again, they just don't know anything. So they've got to get this. And this is where that 805 Academy and other resources that we have can really catapult them to to a high level in that area. Very, very important to have these 2 skill sets, okay? The next one is going to be, the next one is attitude. And I actually have a statement of attitude that I've downloaded for you. Everyone on our team, we ask that they write a statement of attitude. Why are you in this business? What's going to motivate you every day when you get up? Because I got to tell you, sometimes this business can be tough. We also haven't watched, the emotional part of real estate. We have an 805 Academy video on that. It talks about how emotional this business is and how to get through it. But this is very important, the attitude. I want everyone having a good attitude, because here's what I find out. When anyone on our team is in a slump, their attitude's in a slump. And when the people are doing well, their usually attitude is at the top. And so attitude is so key. So you have to have that great attitude. People with bad attitudes don't do well in real estate. The next one is a motor. And the motor is very important, because without a motor, there just is no energy to create it. You need a motor. It's that true. And the motor's inside. I can't put a motor in somebody. I might be able to rev it up a little bit, but either they have a motor or they don't. I talk about people on our team that are successful, and I don't want to use names and stuff, but some of them have several kids, they have all kinds of things going on, and they're doing a ton of real estate. Okay? Or they're involved in all these things, and guess what? They've got a huge motor. Then you have other people that, they might, an agent that might have no kids and know nothing and almost nothing to do, but they don't get anything done because they have no motor. If you have a good motor, it's going to be very, very important. Without a motor, no good. Joy, we met with her for the first meeting. She did 7 sales in her first part year of real estate, okay, which was a COVID year. First, didn't know anything about real estate, 7 sales. When we first met with her, I asked her, when do you want to get going with the process of getting launched on the team, onboarded? He goes, now. Do I have? Oh, okay, that's great. And that's the way she does everything. If I give her something to do, it's usually done that day or the next day, and she gets back to me on it. Those type of people, they've got a great motor, and they're going to be successful. That's something that they have to have pretty much. You really can't. You might tweak it a little bit, but they have to have it. And the last thing is a map, and that's what you're here to help them with. And because you see a lot of people with a motor without a map, you see some people with a map without a motor. You need a map and a motor. It's very, very important. So we sit down, we have a whole process that we go over. We'll probably do another training just on this itself of how we create a path to success. So a lot of questions, how are they going to connect? It's really heavily based upon commitment, consistency, and prospecting. Not marketing, prospecting. Now, social media can be prospecting. We like it more in the form of prospecting than marketing. We look at it as prospecting. That's how we design it with that idea in mind. So that's our path to success, and we go over that with everybody, okay? And we actually have some stuff in the SharePoint on that as well. So next block, 4th block, and the next blocks go pretty quick, is our team handbook. So the team handbook should be very specific description of how teams run day to day. I have a copy of our handbook in there. You can use that as a template for everyone who wants to. It's your operational blueprint, and everybody should have that. They should know that, okay? I know that when we onboard somebody here at Regency, they have a whole list of things that they go through and things like that. This is kind of an extension of that within our team. But you need to have that operational blueprint. So, so the team handbook, and these are just some things that you need to make sure you include in it. Introduce agents to your culture, communicate your expectations of them. Like one of the expectations we have, and I tell people, you don't have to show up at anything on our team except for that 1 monthly meeting. I consider it mandatory. And people know if they don't show up, they're probably going to get the wrath of Ed. Why didn't you show up? Okay, because it's very, very important. Because that's when we really go over a lot of things. Again, communicate what they can expect with you, the details of the team policies, showcase your team benefits, layouts where they can turn for help. That's really important. And so those are some of the things that are really important. Now, let's kind of go over some of the additions to the handbook itself. I think it's also important to have all your team resources online, which we do in our shared drive. So everything that I have for you guys and a whole lot more for them, I have on shared drive, so they can get in there and they can get the resources at any time. Now, one of the big problems we have once in a while is people go on there and they, instead of copy, they cut. So we have to go in there every once in a while and look it up and put it back in. Hopefully we got that taken care of now. But the list that we have right here, these are just some of the things that we have. Listing presentations in there, our buyer presentations, checklist, customized net sheets, contest guidelines, many more things that we have in there for them. And that needs to be online. So when they want to do something, they want something from me, oftentimes I can tell them one of two things. Go to the 805 Academy, watch the video on it. I had a client the other day saying, I got to deliver some bad news, how do I do it? Go watch the video. I have a 4-minute video on how to deliver bad news in a good way. Go watch it. They went and watched the video and said, oh, that was so good. That's what it's there for, okay? So again, 805 Academy is a great source, and then so is the share drive to put things on there as well. So let's move in the next block, and here's the one that you've all been waiting for, and that is the commission block, okay? The commission block and the commission structure is very important. And this is highly individualized to what you want to do. Here's what you must think of when putting this together. You must think of, first of all, what is fair to you and what is fair to them. You're sitting at a table with two people, and you must put something together that works for both. If it only works for you, then it probably won't work for them. If it only works for them, it probably won't work for you. So you need to find that, that friction point that it works for both. So analyze it those two ways. Your team split should not be secret to your team. Ours are open and notorious so that everybody knows. There are no secret deals on our team. There's just not. I try to love my people every way I can, separately and differently. But our our commission splits are all the same, okay, all the same. Now, here's a look at our splits, okay? If you look at our splits, we start with 75 every year. The first 100,000, no matter how much you do, whether you do $500,000 a year on our team, or you do 100,000, or you're new and you do less than that, The first 100,000 at 75%. That's the ability for us to get the money and fuel the team and get paid, okay? But then after that, it varies greatly based upon whether you're an experienced agent and you've done it before or not. You can be all the way up to the splits, which are 75 for the first 100,000. If you've done 300,000 in 2 consecutive years, guess what? You go straight to 95. We also give services rendered. So by the time we give services rendered, a couple referrals a year, and we give 95 after the first 100, they're basically on 100% split. So the only reason they would leave is they're unhappy with the team, not because there's going to be a better situation out there than financially out there. But you must do this. The idea is that you want to make 25,000 off of everyone who makes 100,000, and then after that, let people go and make the money. Okay. Now, they need to work up to that 95. Okay. We've only got a few people on our team at that because most of the people have not met that. Okay. Some of them go to 90. That's a real common one. If you do 200,000, for 2 years, you get that. So, again, whatever is best for you for commission splits, don't get greedy. And don't be stupid and give the house away, okay? So it's kind of important. Okay, these are all the splits that we have. That's going to be on the share drive too. You can take a look at them. And again, our commission, there's no question, the commission schedule is designed to reward those top producing agents. And money's important. There's no question that money, is very important on a team, but it's not, honestly, the most important thing. When most people leave an office and go to another office or leave a team and go to another team, it's not for money, it's because they're unhappy. That's the situation most of the time, okay? Most of the time. So keep enough in your splits to offer some special events. Let me tell you just some of the things that we do. Taco Tuesday, escape rooms, bowling, archery, beach parties. We just got back from a weekend in Palm Desert with 12 of our people. We've done karaoke. We do community days every year for about 3 or 4 of these we do every year, where we'll go out on a Tuesday, and let's say we go to Santa Margarita, and Marisa and Brent take us out there. They show us all about the club out at Santa Margarita, and they kind of give a narrative on it and what Santa Margarita has to offer, okay? And the reason we do this is because we don't just sell homes, we sell lifestyles. And so we want to know, I want the people on our team to know about the lifestyle, whether it's San Clemente, Lake Forest, Mission Viejo, Coto, Dove, wherever it's at, we want them to know about that lifestyle. So that's why we do community days. And then after that, we usually go out and get, pizza or dinner somewhere, and it's another team event. And so we mix in that training and that education with a little bit more social, and it really goes a long way. And it's not very expensive. It's the cost of a meal because it doesn't cost you anything to go out to these different communities. So we also do a Christmas party every year. This year it's going to be at Hannah's. It was supposed to be at Hannah's last year, but it was canceled. So, and then we do a dinner. We have chair people on our team. Maybe they're whatever they chair, they'll get a special dinner with all the chair people that year, whether activities or whatever they're going to do. We like to reward people that step up and do extra things. And then we have what's known as our annual Right Team Challenge, probably the most fun thing we do in our team. We have 12 people going this year, and it's for all the people that have done 100,000 or more in production, and we go for a week somewhere. Okay, we've gone to Hawaii, we've gone to cruises. Last year we went to an all-inclusive in Mexico. All-inclusives are really great because all they have to do is pay for their air flight, and once they get there, everything's taken care of. Food, drink, tips, airport transportation, and other goodies that are even thrown in, spas and things like that, or massages or whatever. So, and then you're all together at this one place. So those are really great, but we do that every year, and there's a huge energy. And by the way, kind of the minimum standard for our team, 100,000. So if you don't make that, you haven't met the minimum standard. Now, if you're in the first couple of years, we might work with you. But if you're in year 5, probably not, honestly. There's probably another team for you that's better because we really want to, I think all the people on our team want to work with other people that are high achievers. That doesn't mean that somebody can't have an off year, but if you have an off career, we're not the right team, okay? So, again, we usually spend about $3,000 a year for that trip for a couple. Each person that gets a couple, and then if you figure out that the other things that you put into activities will be about $2,000, that means that at $25,000 in the first $100,000, $5,000 goes back into it, just like it goes back into your clients, right? So if you guys close transactions, never bought a closing gift, never did a pop buy, never did anything for your clients, you're probably not going to perpetuate your business. Well, the people on our team, they're family, but I also want to give them benefits of what a client would have from us. and you guys are in business, so just take that across from what you do in real estate and do it to your team as well. So the next one is team leadership. That's our final block here. As your team grows, you should add a leadership group. Now, if you only have one person in your team, you are the leadership group, or two or three. But at some point, then you want to add leadership to your team. Okay, so we have 6 people on our leadership group. The 6 people on the team are people that have done at least $200,000 for 2 consecutive years. That's important. They're total team players. Okay, that's very important. They have leadership skills. Okay, so those are the important things that they must have to get on this leadership team. I will, from time to time, run things by them, ask them questions. I want their input. I want them to take a dominant role in the team. And then also, we meet twice a year. In May, we usually meet. Our meeting is coming up, I think, in a week or so. And we get together and we talk about how our goals are going so far this year that we had. And what's going on. We have a couple other points that we talk about. And then we have our big meeting every October. And that's to plan out all of our goals for the next year and really have a bigger meeting. That meeting is always off-site. They're usually both of them off-site. Usually lasts about 4 hours. And it's highly energized. We come up with a lot of great deals. And it becomes that roadmap for the next year of what our team is going to do. So anyway, I want to just end my talk with a couple things here. Like I said, our minimum goal for each team member is $100,000. If they're new and cannot achieve this in 2 to 3 years, in most cases we offer them the ability to join another team or perhaps get out of real estate or whatever. But you'll find out that most people will fire themselves. And what they actually do is they realize that they're not fit for the team, that they're not running with everybody else, and they try to go somewhere else, or they'll fire themselves. I would say half the time, even more than half the time, when we start to put the pressure on them, we meet with them and we say, hey, we want to get you a path to success, and they just don't like that idea, they're not going to get on board. Like I said, they fire themselves. So, but occasionally, we must make that decision for them. And when we do, it's hard sometimes. I mean, it's really hard. You might have somebody on your team that you really like, and it's just like, oh my gosh, we'll probably be friends forever, but it doesn't belong on the team. They're doing one deal every year, maybe 2, and they're not putting in any commitment. So, a couple final comments. We love our team Facebook page. I think I explained that previously. Don't make the mistake that we made early on, and that's to expect that everyone can be, mini yous, okay? Angie and I thought they could all be mini me's, that we could have, they're going to do 100 transactions a year or more, they're going to have 4 full-time assistants, they're going to have all this stuff. No, don't expect that. That's not going to be something you're going to find most of the time. So don't look for the mini me's. Look for people that are uniquely different, but they fit within your culture, and they add in some way to your team. So again, that's that large team. You're going to see there's always people who need help at any moment, okay? You need to kind of teach the people on your team how to treat you a little bit, just like in life we do that, I think. And that is that we cannot just take calls at 12 o'clock at night all the time. So I have several, text message instant replies. One is I'm on a meal, one is I'm in a meeting, one I'm on a call, one is just don't want to talk to you now. So, but I'll shoot one of those back usually when I'm somewhere. And they know that if I'm going out to dinner and I've got a dinner with friends that night, or we're going out, my phone's staying in the car. I'm not going to pick up the text messages. I tell everybody, real estate is not ER. Okay, there's no one dying in real estate. You might think they die. You might die 1,000 times. You're really not going to die. So no one dies in real estate. So I'm going to try to be very available to a certain degree, but I'm not going to be in the end of your string. Okay, I'm not going to be in the end of your string. And one thing we do not offer that you have to explain to your team is like when they're on vacation, you're not going to show their property for them. If I want to I have 30 people on our team. Everyone's on vacation at some point. I could be just as busy showing property right now as I was when I was in full-time business, and by the way, making more money than what you make as a team leader, okay? So we're not going to be doing that for you, okay? Connect with somebody else in the team and have a buddy system to do that, because we can't do that, okay? And again, we don't even give mulligans on it. I just don't do it, okay? Because once you do it for one, you owe 29 more people that, or however big your team is, and it's too much. And then I think that's kind of it. I mean, you guys, questions on things?